अस्सलाम वालेकुम, मेरा नाम प्रोफेसर जवाद डार है और आज मैं वापस आया हूँ इंपीरियल कॉलेज में, जहाँ पे मैंने 1995 में अपनी पीएचडी केमिस्ट्री में की थी। आज मेरे लिए बड़ी खुशी का दिन है क्योंकि आज इंपीरियल कॉलेज का जो लाइब्रेरी है उसको अब्दुस सलाम का नाम दिया जा रहा है। अब्दुस सलाम ने यहाँ 40 साल से ज़्यादा काम किया था इंपीरियल कॉलेज में, और आपको पता होगा कि 1979 में वो पहले मुसलमान साइंसदान थे जिन्होंने नोबेल प्राइज़ जीता था। आपको ये भी पता होगा कि अब्दुस सलाम की सोच थी कि जो एजुकेशन है लोगों को डिफरेंट कंट्रीज स्पेशली डेवलपिंग कंट्रीज से लोगों को मिला सकता है। इसलिए 1964 में उन्होंने भी एक सेंटर खोला था थियोरेटिकल फिज़िक्स पे, जो ट्रिएस्टे इटली में है। तो आज के दिन उसका जो करंट डायरेक्टर है आतिश दाबोकर आएंगे और टॉक देंगे और हमारे साथ भी आज बात करेंगे। और शाम को प्रोफेसर ब्रायन कॉक्स भी एक लेक्चर देंगे थियोरेटिकल फिज़िक्स के ऊपर। चलो फिर आइए चलते हैं और देखते हैं क्या हो रहा है।
The Abdus Salam International Center for Theoretical Physics was founded by Abdus Salam in 1964. We will be celebrating our 60th anniversary this year, and it is a unique organization of its kind, a very high-profile international scientific organization with the purpose of a unique mission to bring the world together through science and to make scientific resources globally available, overcoming the barriers of gender, ethnicity, but also importantly geography and economics. ICTP welcomes something like 6,000 scientists from all over the world every year. About 2/3 are from the developing countries, and they are fully funded by ICTP. And this is a place where you can see a Nobel laureate talking to a young scientist from Africa or from India or from the US, I mean from all over the world, where this kind of scientific exchange is possible, which would otherwise not be possible. So I think this is the special kind of arrangement. It is governed by a tripartite agreement between the Italian government, IAEA and UNESCO. So it's a UN organization, and it was quite I would say a visionary thinking of Salaam to think about something like this, where science can bring the world together. Salaam had an important link with Imperial College because he was a professor at Imperial College, and even after he continued at ICTP, he maintained his links here. And while he was at Imperial College and at ICTP, he did some of his pioneering work in physics, in theoretical physics. The one which got him the Nobel Prize in 1979 together with Weinberg and Glashow has to do with the unification of the electromagnetic force with the weak nuclear force. But afterwards he also did important work on grand unification and supersymmetry. So he has, I would say, the search for unifying the forces of nature has been a quest that goes back to Maxwell or to Einstein. And I would say that this electroweak unification of Glashow, Salaam, Weinberg was an important goalpost in this journey. I think I'm very happy that Imperial College has chosen to honor the legacy of Salaam. I think it's really has to do about universality of science. And that is really the fundamental message. When I became the director, in fact, some of the news channels asked me, how does it feel to be an Indian physicist being the director of an institute founded by a Pakistani physicist? And I said, that's exactly the point, that science doesn't really recognize these boundaries. And that's why I think science is a very powerful agent for starting dialogue and bringing the world together, because the language of science is like, or even more so than the language of music, truly universal, because a stone falls using the laws of mechanics and of Newton's law of gravity, whether you drop it in London or whether you drop it in Lahore. So that really is the reason why communication is possible among scientists, even though politically the connections might be broken. And that actually is one of the strengths of ICTP, where you will see that scientists from India and Pakistan or from Iran and the United States coming together to discuss common problems in science.
It's a great honour and a great privilege and a great reflection on my father's legacy and what he did for Imperial, and equally what Imperial did for him. It was a wonderful relationship between them, and this is a great testament to my father's memory here.
And you know, in relation to your father's work in trying to bring together scientists from all over the world, maybe you could say a few words about that.
Yes, of course. I mean, a lot of people remember my father for his science, but I've always said, and I've said it publicly, that his greatest legacy is actually his humanitarian work, which was inspired by the message of the Holy Prophet of Islam, peace be upon him, and that whole work for humanity and bringing humanity together and breaking down the barriers between the first world and the developing south and bringing more equality into the world and helping the most underprivileged students around the world to come to meet with the best intellects from the Western world and to be recharged, be energized, and go back to their countries and spread that knowledge further.
So how do you feel today that Imperial College is doing such a brilliant occasion and ceremony with Professor Brian Cox and Atish Tabagar, the current director of the International Centre? How do you feel about this honour that Imperial College has bestowed on your father?
It is wonderful, and we're truly grateful to all the authorities at Imperial. And equally, this does go back to the incredibly enlightened approach that Imperial took in 1957, when Lord Blackett then, recognizing that there was something very special about my father, they allowed him to go and spend 40 to 50% of his time working to create the International Centre in Trieste, whilst also having a foot in the camp here at Imperial. So the fact that they were so enlightened then in 1957 to allow him to do that is a testament to the wonderful humanitarian nature of the people at Imperial back then, and this is a reflection of that continued humanitarian legacy that father started.
We're still talking about your father after so many years after his passing. What do you think is your father's legacy?
And that really is you've actually hit the nail on the head there, because of course he passed away 27 years ago, but the world is still remembering him. Nobel laureates come and go, they die, and people forget about them, forget about their work. What is unique about Abdus Salam? It's his humanitarian work. The institutions that he created, the scholarships that he created, the opportunities he gave hundreds of thousands of students from the developing world to come and learn and improve themselves and go back to their own countries and spread that knowledge further in science and technology to create real economic development, economic progress, which in turn would benefit everybody across the developing South.
Of the life and works of Abdus Salam. So a warm welcome to guests both in person, out there online, in lecture theatres around the campus, and indeed all around the world.
He's being recognized by a major university like Imperial College in the UK, and I'm very happy that the family of Salam, as well as his academic family, many of his former students. And
one of the things that drove him, perhaps the fundamental belief he had, was in just beauty, the inherent beauty of nature. So that the beauty, potentially a simple structure underlying the complexity that we see, but also, as you've heard, the beauty in human beings, and in particular, the great advantage of looking at things in different ways, not only scientific objects, as we'll see, but also the challenges that we face, in some sense, to try to give you a sense of what I found when I look back on the work that Salaam and colleagues did in the mid-1960s. It is astonishing to me that they came to the right theory.
Yeah. In fact, I would like to add something to this, that if you look at it, the relevance of this idea is even more today than perhaps at the time of Salaam, because some of the global challenges that we face, like climate, it's really absolutely essential that we have everybody. It is a global problem, we cannot solve it.
Yes, how are you trying to show the picture? There it is. There it is. So that is the M87 black hole, 6 billion solar masses. So it's there. And the wonderful thing is, if you do you know, the simulation, like the film Interstellar, for example, that's a simulation of a black hole. It's iconic, that weird donut kind of shape.
To watch this, but I hope they are recording because
read this page 25.